the longest writing pen, Flair's Writometer, with the Jumbo promising up to 12,500 meters. Now, I've tested a fair number of pens in the past, and let's just say that the few that even dared to put a number in their lifespan rarely lived up to it. So, is it really the wallet and planet-saving wonder that it claims to be? Let's find out. Yeah, I know, there are several videos testing this pen, but here's the catch. They're not using it as a pen, for actual writing. They lean heavily into gimmicks, not practical use. Entertaining? Sure. Helpful? Not really. I have seen the importance of real testing firsthand in my previous videos, the review of the Sakura Jelly Roll and Fisher Space Pen. That's why my approach is different. I draw squares on grid paper. Why? It mimics real-life writing, frequent lifting, pressure variations, multi-directional strokes, and makes it easy to count after words. But it's a painstakingly slow and mind-numbing work. Only thanks to Audible am I still sane. While testing, I started to re-listen to the beginning after the end. I was prompted by that sad excuse of an anime. Let's be generous. It must be a money laundering scheme or some tax write-off. If you're curious about the story, skip the comic and go straight for the books. And if you're too lazy or don't have the time to read, Travis Baldry absolutely nailed the audiobooks. Just please use my affiliate links when you're shopping, reading, or listening to anything. Besides testing how long do they last, I always get a second pen to get a feel for the writing performance. The product description presented itself as nothing short of exceptional. A smooth writing experience, no skipping, smearing, or stuttering, an ergonomic, comfortable grip. Unfortunately, it delivered more unfulfilled promises than a politician's campaign speech, and raised more red flags than a communist parade. The first thing that hits you isn't the performance, it's the smell. Wow, it's not your usual ink scent. It's something aggressively chemical, a full-on nasal assault. Smoothness? Nowhere to be found. Ergonomics? Missing in action. That being said, if you're into thin lines, don't write for too long, and don't mind a pen that's a bit on the scratchy side, it's not too bad. At the start anyway. Some commenters online said it gets smoother over the time. Technically, they're not wrong. If you watch my time-lapse, you might have noticed the sudden appearance of a napkin. That wasn't for a runny nose. The pen began lubricating itself like it was trying out for a role in a certain genre of anime. But instead of fan service, all I got was ink smears. Full disclosure, it was actually kind of a disaster from almost the very start. Here, these are the photos of the pages I've done. Feel free to slow them down, pause, rewind, or zoom in. Savor the mess in all of its glory. But things started to improve after a while, like the pen was teasing me with a glimmer of hope. Yeah, right. It probably nosedived back into chaos. And I've skipped some pages to show you how the ink bleeds through the paper. Without a napkin, I'd get outright ink blobs on the tip of the pen. And it's not like I mistreated it. I babied this thing. Never took it outside. Never dropped it. Never hurled it at a wall. Though the urge was real. But before my patience ran out, it started to fall apart on its own. Both the body and the cap started to develop cracks left and right. Not outright disintegrated, but unusable pretty much. And all of this happened before the ink level even showed up in the whole Writometer gimmick. From reading the comments, it seems the paint job might flake off eventually too. But in my case, the plastic gave out long before the paint did. Maybe I don't sweat as much? But since it's a disposable pen after all, and not a space rocket headed to Mars, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Could have just been a dud. Second chance then. The other one. But first, please like and maybe even comment because, well, this takes a lot of time and effort.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Squares, squares, and yes, more squares. Oh, I almost forgot. Name's Alex Crane. Might be a little bit late for an intro, I know. But as they say, better late than never. Unless we're talking about this pen's performance. I ain't coping for 10 kilometers that'll finally work as advertised. And yeah, I cover all kinds of stuff on this channel. Not just stationery. So if you're into actual testing, and not just sugar-coated marketing fluff, you might just find something here that'll penetrate your interest. Pun intended. Now, back to the pen question. This thing inherited all the flaws of its predecessor, by which I mean started leaking almost immediately. But I gritted my teeth, steeled my resolve, and kept writing. Who knows, maybe this pen needs a warm-up, just like all those commenters said. And to be fair, it did improve, kind of, a little. The ink splatter became less frequent at times, but sadly never completely went away. So no, I cannot recommend it for your diary, exams, or your everyday carry. As for the build quality, it's genuinely the worst I have ever seen. Even Soviet monopolies made pens better. Ocean's most affordable house brand pen has more structural integrity, and you can buy over a dozen for the price of the cheapest instant noodles. After 25,000 squares, we only burned through about a fifth of the ink reservoir, give or take. But it's hard to predict how it'll behave long term, as we're already seeing the line begin to thin. Let's be positive and just multiply it by 5. You get 125,000 squares, which equals to 926,750 centimeters, or around 74% of the promised 12.5 kilometers. If it weren't for the constant ink splattering, it might have actually hit its advertised range. So how does it stack up to the competition? I already tested the longevity of quite a few pens that you can find on this channel, and doing more. Well, mostly gel pens, as they don't last as long as ballpoints, usually. Except this one, Xiaomi Mi High Capacity Gel Pen, actually beat the round stick M. So if you're into that, subscribe. One Writo Meter Jumbo lasts like 30 Sakura Jelly Rolls, 22 Win QBs, 13 Pilot G2s in 05, or like 5 big surround stick M's, or 5 Xiaomi's Mi High Capacity Gel Pens. Incredible value. I'll give them that. I like the thinner lines too, and eventually it does get smoother, but not for the reasons you'd like. But unless they pay for my retirement, it's impossible to recommend. The putrid smell never really fades, and sadly the barrel starts to crack like in the first 5% of the pen, which kind of defeats the whole point of such remarkable longevity. Makes you wonder, if it cracks so easily, why even sell the refills? And it's not like it's a brand new product from a fresh company. They've been around for decades. Maybe a non-jumper version would hold up better? Flair, this is your last chance. I tracked down a different store with a different distributor and a different model, which promises 10 kilometers instead of 12.5. I give it to someone who writes often, but only in small bursts, jotting down quotations, quick diary entries, lecture, and video notes. And after over a year of steady use, I ask for the pen back to make this review. Can't really show all the pages since it's personal after all. Blots started pretty much from the first page, ranging from mildly annoying to completely obliterating letters. But hey, if you don't write too fast, don't write too much, avoid turning the page, and have the patience to let it dry, then sure, world-class pen, almost. Want to use a highlighter? Absolutely not. I was also told that the cap cracks surprisingly fast for a pen that never left the house. With some putty and a few sweet promises, not to mention my best pretty please face, I convinced them to keep using the pen despite its quirks. And obviously, I tested it myself too, by making a few more pages of squares. And no miracles haven't. But hey, if you're set on using this pen, whenever you're a masochist, get a thrill from inhalers, or just love a challenge, I've got a little mod to sweeten the deal. The non-jumper refill resembles a Parker-style G2, just a bit taller. Trim it down. I use box cutters. It'll fit into thousands of pens that don't disintegrate upon contact with oxygen. Bonus, if you pair it with a transparent pen, you can actually see the Writometer in action. Well idea, right? Why make a gimmick only to hide it? It's like installing a sunroof and painting it over. Like, comment, donate, or shop with my affiliate links if you enjoyed the review. And may your pens write smoother than my lousy jokes. Alex Green, over and out.